Further west in delayed Indonesian Grand Prix, Quartararo will launch from pole with Martin and Zarco both on the front row. It's a career best grid start for Brad Binder in fourth, while Qatar GP winner Enea Bastianini and 2021 championship runner-up Pecco Bagnaia are alongside him. Miguel Oliveira, Alex Rins and Jack Miller are all in the third row, with Aleix Espargaro, Fabio Di Giannantonio and Luca Marini completing the top 12. Franco Morbidelli was slapped with a grid penalty and he starts from P14 with Marco Bezzecchi in 15th. There's no Marc Marquez, with the 8-time world champion declared unfit after a crash during warm-up, and Paul Espargaro takes his place on the grid. Alex Marquez is a skilled wet weather rider, so keep an eye on him in row 6 alongside Andrea Dovizioso and Joan Mir. Further west in delayed Indonesian Grand Prix, Quartararo will launch from pole with Martin and Zarco both on the front row. It's a career best grid start for Brad Binder in fourth, while Qatar GP winner Enea Bastianini and 2021 championship runner-up Pecco Bagnaia are alongside him. Miguel Oliveira, Alex Rins and Jack Miller are all in the third row, with Aleix Espargaro, Fabio Di Giannantonio and Luca Marini completing the top 12. Franco Morbidelli was slapped with a grid penalty and he starts from P14 with Marco Bezzecchi in 15th. There's no Marc Marquez, with the 8-time world champion declared unfit after a crash during warm-up, and Paul Espargaro takes his place on the grid. Alex Marquez is a skilled wet weather rider, so keep an eye on him in row 6 alongside Andrea Dovizioso and Joan Mir. Further west in delayed Indonesian Grand Prix, Quartararo will launch from pole with Martin and Zarco both on the front row. It's a career best grid start for Brad Binder in fourth, while Qatar GP winner Enea Bastianini and 2021 championship runner-up Pecco Bagnaia are alongside him. Miguel Oliveira, Alex Rins and Jack Miller are all in the third row, with Aleix Espargaro, Fabio Di Giannantonio and Luca Marini completing the top 12. Franco Morbidelli was slapped with a grid penalty and he starts from P14 with Marco Bezzecchi in 15th. There's no Marc Marquez, with the 8-time world champion declared unfit after a crash during warm-up, and Paul Espargaro takes his place on the grid. Alex Marquez is a skilled wet weather rider, so keep an eye on him in row 6 alongside Andrea Dovizioso and Joan Mir. It's a career best grid start for Brad Binder in fourth, while Qatar GP winner Enea Bastianini and 2021 championship runner-up Pecco Bagnaia are alongside him. Miguel Oliveira, Alex Rins and Jack Miller are all in the third row, with Aleix Espargaro, Fabio Di Giannantonio and Luca Marini completing the top 12. Franco Morbidelli was slapped with a grid penalty and he starts from P14 with Marco Bezzecchi in 15th. There's no Marc Marquez, with the 8-time world champion declared unfit after a crash during warm-up, and Paul Espargaro takes his place on the grid. Alex Marquez is a skilled wet weather rider, so keep an eye on him in row 6 alongside Andrea Dovizioso and Joan Mir. Maverick Vinales leads the Tech 12 rookies Fernandez and Gardner, with Binder and Nakagami completing your grid in Mandalika.
8,940 days since the last Indonesian Grand Prix at Sentul back in 1997. Later than we expected, but better late than never. The green flag waves at the back of the grid. We're about to get underway here. The Grand Prix of Indonesia. Delayed on the lights, the red light comes on, and we are underway here. MotoGP action underway in Indonesia. Big wheelie off the line there for Jorge Martin in second place. Storming start from Miguel Oliveira on the number 88 factory KTM. Quartararo, the poleman, gets the whole shot, but Oliveira up into third.
Look at Alex Rins, straight around the outside. He's ran wide into turn one. He's got Jorge Martin up the side, and Rins got a brilliant start from the third row of the grid. He's now been eased wise by Jorge Martin, but Quartararo, just as he hoped for, he's got the whole shot. He's got a clear track.
Well, we saw a sensational start from Brad Binder in the dry starting race in Qatar. A brilliant launch there from the third row by Miguel Oliveira. He started 7th and immediately slots himself in to second place behind Fabio Quartararo. Perfect start for the world champion.
Jack Miller's come through into third place. He's a rider that we expected to keep an eye on in these conditions. His teammate, though, Pecco Bagnaia's had a terrible start. He's down 6 places, down into 12. Look at Joan Mir. He started down in 18th position. He's already cut half of the deficit. He's up into the top 10 and already got the inside of Brad Binder for 8th position.
Yeah, really aggressive, hasn't he been already, as he had to be. Joan Mir, Alex Marquez, I think in the background there, just putting his hand up. I think he might have made a bit of a hard move on somebody into turn number 10. They splashed their way through then into the third sector on this opening lap. Fabio Quartararo just where he wanted to be, coming under early pressure here. Attacking hard as the Portuguese man Miguel Oliveira. The advantage just under 0.3 of a second. You can see there the spray being kicked up by Quartararo's own one. If you're a mid-pack now, it's going to be difficult to pick your way through vision-wise in this busy last sector.
Well, we feared for Yamaha in these wet conditions, but so far they're going very well. Quartararo leads this Grand Prix. Franco Morbidelli's moved through from 14th on the grid up to 6th now. He's just gone past Jorge Martin. Andrea Dovizioso is also going well in 12th as Miguel Oliveira powers his way out of the final corner and eases past Fabio Quartararo.
Oh, look at the spray problems further back down the field. I don't know whether Quartararo made a mistake there coming out the final corner. He's been picked up as well now, briefly by Jack Miller into turn 1. He just lost all of his exit speed out of turn 17 to Quartararo. That's how Oliveira got through by the time they got to the finish line. And all the momentum lost as well for Quartararo meant Miller got him on the brakes into the first corner.
But Oliveira away at the front. Jack Miller, though, on the move in second place. We've got 4 different manufacturers in the top 4 at the moment, with Alex Rins just out of picture. There he is in the back of the screens, up in 4th, just ahead of Johann Zarco.
Here comes Jack Miller then up the inside of Miguel Oliveira into turn 10, and he's got that move stuck. That's brilliant by the Ducati man. We thought he was going to be a big contender in these rain conditions. These are conditions that the Thriller Miller revels in. Oliveira just struggling for pace. He ran a little bit wide there, then he coming through turn number 11. Thought he was going to get swallowed up by Fabio Quartararo. As good of a start it's been for Oliveira's KTM, it's been a bad start for Brad Binder. He's dropped outside the top 10 from that promising 4th place.
And the championship leader, Enea Bastianini, he's all the way down in 15th spot, so he's not enjoying these conditions at this very early stage. Maybe he'll build into it as this race goes on, but the championship leader is in big trouble at this very early stage. Here are your 3 leaders then, as Miguel Oliveira has a little bit of a look at Jack Miller. Quartararo's hanging on to them. It looked like he might slip backwards when he lost lead at the start of this lap, but now with some references ahead of him, Quartararo able to go with the leaders.
Quartararo's getting swallowed up though. Rins and Zarco pick him off out of that final corner, on the brakes into the first corner. Quartararo's going the wrong way here. He made a great start, but it's all unravelling pretty quickly here for the world champion. Alex Rins now has got his hands full. 2 flying Frenchmen all over his rear tyre. Now this battle, as it rages on, it's just giving Miller and Oliveira the chance to break away. You can see the top 2 men there. They're already going through turn 5.
Yeah, here's what happens to Fabio Quartararo. I said earlier on in the warm lap, don't touch the curbs. And Fabio Quartararo got on the curb and it just lost him all his momentum.
I think that's what happened as well, Lewis, earlier in the race. He was out wide on those curbs, super slick, super greasy, no grip whatsoever, and that allowed Oliveira to get through initially. Jack Miller then with the hammer down, a 1:41.161. Full respect here to Miguel Oliveira to keep tabs with this early pace by the Australian. Oliveira on that last lap was also a 1:41.1. Johann Zarco also pretty rapid, but half a second away from the top 2 men. Let's see what Rins now and Zarco can do now they've got through on the world champ Quartararo.
This is the view back then from the race leader, Jack Miller, who we've so often seen excel in these kind of conditions. Miguel Oliveira, we've perhaps seen less of that over the years, but he's certainly proving that he's the match for Jack Miller at the moment. Is he going to have a little look now? No, he stays where he is for the moment. While these two are pulling away from the gap behind them, the likes of Alex Rins and Johann Zarco, I think Miguel Oliveira will be quite comfortable to sit there in second place. As long as he can still see the road ahead of him, he'll be quite happy just to sit there if he feels he's got the pace later on in this Grand Prix.
So it's the Aussie Jack Miller, always super strong in these tricky rain conditions, that still has the advantage. He fires in another 1:41.2, just a 10th quicker than Oliveira in second place. Alex Rins has dropped his pace down to the mid 1:41s as well. It's a PB lap time from the Spaniard. There is Jorge Martin back in 8th. Now then, what has happened to the number 89? Is he on the curbs as well? Whoa! On the white line, slippery as you like. Look at this. He's on the curb, on the white line, and how on earth has he stayed on board that? That kicked sideways big time. Jorge Martin, that was heart in the mouth for the Spanish rider. He stays sunny side up, thankfully, and still holding 8th place. Taka Nakagami's having an absolute horror show out there. Likewise, Maverick Vinales, who's marooned down in 22nd place. Here comes Oliveira. That's the battle for the race lead, and it's now in the advantage of the Portuguese man. Miguel Oliveira snaps up the inside of Jack Miller coming into turn 12.
Yeah, he looked like he'd been shaping up to do that for a couple of laps now. Oliveira looks visibly faster than Jack Miller. He looked like he had a bit more pace behind him. Now Jack Miller's got a reference up ahead of him. Will Miller be able to go with the KTM out front? They're still continuing to break away from the field behind them. Only really Alex Rins and Johann Zarco have any kind of pace to match these guys. Quartararo continues to lap a second a lap slower.
Alex Rins in 3rd. We've seen him in these podium places before. Rain or shine. Oh, that's
Pecco Bagnaia way out wide, yeah.
Go free and going off the circuit right now. He's almost in downtown Lombok, is Pecco Bagnaia. It hasn't worked out for him at all. He was only just able to break into the 1:41s. Whoa! How on earth did he save that? That was even better than the Martin save.
Yeah, the fact that he went off into the runoff, that was a save, really. The fact that he didn't go all the way out into the car park there.
Unbelievable. I've no idea. That front end was digging a trench into the surface. That was incredible. What a save by Pecco Bagnaia.
Yeah, he's rejoined in 12th place. He's just behind Brad Binder, who's starting to make some gentle progress on the KTM. He and Luca Marini are both chasing down Paul Espargaro, who did make some good progress. He's just dropped behind both Marini and Binder. He made good progress from his low grid position, started 15th and got himself up to the top 8. Unfortunately now for the Repsol Honda man, the sole Repsol Honda man in the race, he's starting to slip back down the field.
Just shows how treacherous these conditions are. One small mistake. Martin out on the curbs, lighting up his rear tyre, nearly flung to the moon coming out the final corner. And then Pecco Bagnaia, he wasn't obviously doing anything too crazy, riding within himself, riding to his limit, and the front tyre just locking up underneath him. I'm still not sure, I'm sure he's got no idea as well, how he stayed on top of that factory Ducati. He's still in the Grand Prix. Oh, that's Martin. Jorge Martin, then unfortunately it's back-to-back DNF to kick off 2022 for the Spanish rider. That's in the braking zone for turn 1 as well. We saw Pecco Bagnaia have the big scare there 2 or 3 laps ago. That is a very second-hand GP 2022. Bolt upright.
Right on that wet patch.
Just on that wet patch. Franco Morbidelli had a front row seat for that. He was just braking, squeezing that front lever, and on that little river that was running across the circuit, nothing he could do. He was almost straight line braking there, up and down. Jorge Martin down. Thankfully he's okay. Massive repair job on that Pramac Ducati. So we've lost Martin from 7th.
Well, Miguel Oliveira continues to chip away. He's still lapping in the low 1-minute 40s. Jack Miller's starting to match him though on pace, so he's just keeping the Portuguese rider in check. They're all setting personal best laps in that leading group. In fact, the fastest man of the leading group on that last lap was the world champion, Fabio Quartararo, 140.184, putting some of those fears about his wet weather riding to bed. He's keeping Johan Zarco well and truly in sight.
Got to be careful there, Zarco. He was in hot there and off the line into turn 13 as he tries to keep on par with Alex Rins ahead of him. That might well have cost him a couple of tenths. Francesco Guidotti, what an amazing start to his tenure as the Red Bull KTM Factory Racing team manager. He saw Brad Binder start the season with a brilliant second place in Qatar. At the moment, Miguel Oliveira reeling off yet another fastest lap. This is unbelievable pace. We heard about the fantastic grip levels here in the rain conditions in Mandalika. A 1:39.801 now from Oliveira. That is only 8.8 seconds slower than slick tyre pace. Astonishing. What high grip levels we've got here in the rain.
Absolutely. Once again, the next fastest rider on track was Fabio Quartararo. He's certainly growing in confidence in his wet conditions. He's 0.6 of a second behind Johan Zarco. This is the battle then for 12th place. This is Paul Espargaro on the leading Honda in this race. He's got Alex Marquez just behind him. We're going to see what's happened to Paul. He's touched the white line and he's gone way off track.
Wow, that was a monumental scare for Paul Espargaro. Wow, we've seen some big heart in the mouth moments riding that curb on the outside. As Simon said, that's not where you want to be. Those guys not going there intentionally. It's just where they're finding themselves with the spray and the visibility. That was huge. Wow, Paul Espargaro and Pecco Bagnaia in particular need to go and buy a lottery ticket tonight, because that was so close to disaster for the pair of them. They're still circulating in this Mandalika Grand Prix. Nobody's doing a better job right now than Oliveira. He's now on this lap alone in 3 sectors, taken 7 tenths out of Jack Miller, stretching away here. 2.2 seconds the gap as Oliveira comes to the final sector.
Here's Jorge Martin then, who's of course out of the Grand Prix. We're glad to see that he's uninjured, and the Pramac Ducati hopes solely lying on the shoulders of Johan Zarco at the moment.
Yeah, we've had tropical thunderstorms which have dominated the afternoon here in Mandalika, and a face of thunder, unfortunately, for Jorge Martin. He had a big scare coming out the final corner at the start of this Grand Prix, and then the big moment on the brakes going into turn 1. That wasn't savable. Down the road he went. Thankfully he's okay, because that was a fast old crash as Alex Rins tries to resist the 2 Frenchmen honing in on behind him, and it looks like the move's coming. Yeah, Zarco's lined that up brilliantly into turn 12. It was all about the power he could get through the ground out of turn number 11. He made that look so simple. Zarco up into 3rd.
Yeah, Zarco's had a long time between podiums, hasn't he? Not since the first half of last season have we seen Johan Zarco on the podium. Of course, he'll be looking to end that here He clearly felt he had more pace. He's got on with it and got on with it pretty quickly. He was the fastest rider last time around. Even with the overtake, he's still closing in on Jack Miller up ahead of him. 1.3 seconds the gap to Jack Miller up ahead. Zarco was 1.8 behind at the start of this lap, so he's clearly got pace to go after the Australian up in front. Has he got anything for Miguel Oliveira out front, who's 3.5 seconds clear now?
Yeah, Oliveira again took another 0.8 of a second out of Miller on that previous lap. Miller's just in the 140s. Quartararo, Zarco and Rins behind him. They've got themselves tucked into those 139s. Likewise, Joan Mir, who's probably unlikely to figure in that battle for the top 5. He's 2.7 seconds behind Quartararo. Something's happened to Alex Rins on that lap. Something maybe happened to Rins coming out the final corner, because he's just all of a